Today's topic in our show, Startuprules, is about equity. We all know this, and we've probably come across, if you're building a startup, the most dramatic topic is change or a division of equity, sharing the pie, if you may. And I've read quite a few things how to split equity. To be very honest, it doesn't get old. It's always a fresh thing to learn and new. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Now, these are one of the longer videos that I'm making around how I've done it. But just to give you guys an idea as you start, how do you split equity? Now, for instance, if you guys are 3 people, you do 33 each of you, or if you are 4 of yourself, then you do 25%. So that makes up to 100%. From that, 10% of your 100% is left to ESOP, so your early employee pool fund, where you usually give off a tiny percentage of that 10% to your early stage employees. Now, when it comes to higher VPs or potential CTO in the future, the valuation of the company grows because the co-founder, most likely, if you're not technical, seems to be the CTO, but if there were to be another CEO or a CTO that takes over the company, you do need to leave some of the pool to those kind of individuals as you go along, because the investor would definitely recommend that. Moving along, you have the other 10% that you can leave for advisors. Usually it's recommended to leave 5 to 10, but 5 is more than enough to have for the advisors. It is a personal choice, and basically looking at how they feel about this specific idea of leaving 5 or 10% to advisors. And obviously the 20% to 40% eventually goes to the investors. By the time you as a founder get to owning just 10% perhaps, because you will get liquidated eventually as you grow in valuation and obviously get more people on board, you would take away some of your equity and give away to that specific individual. Or for instance, if you are 25, you give away each 3% to the investor that you have negotiated with. So keep those things in mind. Dilution occurs. Timing is the second most important thing when it comes to the division. Division is I should probably use the right term and say sharing the pie, depending on when and how the founder got involved. If it's a big gap where they came after a whole 2 quarters of you having a good traction or even growth per se, you don't necessarily need to give them the equal pie. It is only fair. The more you keep it transparent and the more fair you are, the better it is for you folks to have a discussion when things get really, really awkward. And trust me, they do get really awkward. So you don't want to have those kind of conversations. You really want to focus on improving communication around these times when there is doubt. So when in doubt, please make sure you're talking to your co-founders and letting them know, making them aware of how things go. The third most important thing is not overdoing it. I know some of the founders that I've kind of mentored where that they've almost given the power to the other founders to almost be decisive, create an indecisive environment. And you can't let that happen. When you go overboard to be true to yourself, that is just abuse of your own power, where you can use it in the right way when you can put down the percentages that you have decided for that dedicated position. So make sure you're not overdoing the split of the pie. You can quote me on this part. It is going to take away so much time from you and going back and forth and discussing every single bit, which you must, but to move it along in a stretch of 2 to 3 months, just the founder could be focusing, or all the founders should be focusing really on the product. So again, communication, transparency, and not overdoing it. 3 most important thing. So just make sure that the split is in that way. One of the other things that I'll leave you all with is making sure that you understand what it means to be investable. A lot of founders don't really think about this until they actually start communicating and building and figuring out the percentages But as a second-time founder or a third-time founder, you learn this, and it's a process, so it's okay if you haven't. But if you're watching this video, then you know that you should be aware of this. The way I built my first company, what I did was I understood in all capacity that I didn't want to be a small startup. I wanted to want that VC funding, so I deliberately created a scenario and acquire the VC funding, and that is one way to work backwards from what you want to achieve. So working backwards will help you start thinking in that proactive sense, and that is what I would recommend as a last thing to do, is to proactively start thinking in the backward of how you want to be, where you want to be. And if you want to be an IPO, for example, everybody's going public nowadays, you need to understand, if you want to go public, you need to start building the company from day one as if it's an IPO company. It's not dramatic, it's not a long stretch, but trust me, it takes you long way. This is again Uzair from Startuprules on how to split equity and things to really keep in mind when splitting equity. Cheers. Oh, I'm just making videos. I'm not even sure about this new setup of standing and talking to you all, because I am standing right now. But if you like the video, I'm just starting. I have no idea. I'm just throwing knowledge out there. But if you do think this helped you out, make sure you comment or say something. Say something stupid. Hate on the comment or hate something. I don't care. Do something. And I just want to see that you guys are watching. That's pretty much it. Ciao.